Again, in order for the manager to solve the problem, the manager nurses uses different conflict nurses resolution strategies. Or these are the strategies that the leader usually use, or nurses techniques, nurses that the manager often use in order for him to solve the problem. And what are nurses, the common conflict resolution strategies? Number one nurse is what we call a sure avoidance. Number one is what we call a sure avoidance. Now, what is avoidance? Pag sinabi natin avoidance nurses, anong sinasabi ni manager? Sabi ni manager sa avoidance, let us not talk about it. Again, sabi ni manager sa avoidance, let us not talk about it. Again, let us not talk about it. Huwag na natin pag-usapan. O ibig sabihin, in avoidance question, hinaharap ba ang problema? In avoidance, hinaharap ba ang problema? No. Iniiwasan na lang ba? Yes. Ito yung mga tipong iwasan na lang natin para wala nang gulo. That is what we call avoidance. Nagkakaintindihan. Another nurse we have is what we call assured dominance and suppression. Another is what we call assured dominance and suppression. Ano naman ang sabi ni manager sa dominance and suppression? Sabi naman ni manager dito, I am the manager here. I am the manager here. I will do what is best for everybody. Again, I am the manager here, sorry. I am the manager here. You have no choice. Again, I am the manager here. You have no choice. I am the manager here. You have no choice. In short, ako ang boss dito, wala ka nang magagawa. Nagkakaintindihan ba? In short, in dominance and suppression, kung sinong may kabangyan, nurses, sino lang ang nasusunod sa dominance and suppression? Sino lang nasusunod? Si manager lang. Dinodominate mo, sinusuppress mo pa. In short, ang stop dito, may boses o wala? Wala. O tanong, ito bang madalas gamitin sa iyo ng nanay mo? Yes or no? Yes. Ito yung mga katwiran ka ba sa nanay mo? Sabi mo sa nanay mo, manaman. Anong sagot sa iyo ng nanay mo? Tumahimik ka. Tumahimik ka. Anak lang kita. Akong nanay dito. Akong masusunod. Question, is that your dominance and suppression? Yes or no? Yes. Nagkakaintindihan. Another no nurse we have is what we call assured restriction or power. Again, another nurse, you have your restriction or power. What is restriction or power? Ano naman sabi ni manager? Sabi naman ni manager, I am the manager here. I am the manager here. I will do what is best for everybody. I am the manager here. I will do what is best for everybody. I am the manager here. I will do what is best for everybody. Ako ang boss dito. Gagawin ko kung anong ikabubuti ng lahat. O therefore, in restriction or power, nurses, sinong gumagawa ng paraan? Si manager. Sino nagsasakripisyo? Si manager. Ang staff dito, sitting pretty lang ba? Yes. So anong dating nito sa staff? Positive o negative? Positive. Do you see the difference with dominance and suppression? In dominance and suppression, anong dating sa staff? Positive o negative? Negative. Nagkakaintindihan. Sandali lang ha. Oh my God. Okay. So, nurses. So, again, nakita yung difference? Yes or no? Yes. Now, another nurse we have is what we call a sure majority rule. Another we have is what we call a sure majority rule. Now, ano naman ang majority rule? Ano naman ang sabi ni manager? Sabi naman ni manager, let us divide the house. Again, anong sabi ni manager? Let us divide the house. Pag sinabing let us divide the house, let us divide the house, let us divide the house. Question, nurses, pag sinabi natin let us divide the house, nurses, anong nangyayari? Voting, very good. And whoever gets the majority of the vote wins. That is majority rule. O question, nurses, isa ba to sa pinakamadalas na ginagamit? Yes! Ginagamit din ba yan, nurses, ng Senate, ng Congress? Yes or no? Yes. Another no nurse we have is what we call a sure smoothing. Another is what we call a sure smoothing. Now, what is smoothing? In smoothing, the unacceptable, again, in smoothing, the unacceptable appears to be acceptable. The unacceptable appears to be acceptable. Meaning dito, ang mali ay ginagawang tama. Ang mali ay ginagawang tama. Kaya nga tinawag na smooth. Nagkakaintindihan. No, what's a very good example? Oh, very good example. Kunyari duty. Ilang shift na meron tayo? Ilang shift meron tayo? 3. Ano yung 3 shift natin? Ano nga yung 3 shift natin? AM, PM, night. Now, try to imagine, nurse, 3 araw ka ng night shift. Oh, try to imagine, 3 araw ka ng night shift. In short, kung 3 araw ka ng night shift, ilang araw ka na rin puyat? Ilang araw ka na rin puyat? 3. Kasi may kasabihan tayo, iba ang tulog sa umaga kesa sa gabi. Do you agree? Yes. So kahit matulog ka sa umaga, puyat ka pa rin ba? Yes or no? Yes. O try to imagine, 3 araw ka na ngayon night shift. Kaso nga lang, nurse, ang problema mo, pagdating na yung 3 araw mo, wala kang ka-endorse. Pagdating na yung 3 araw, wala kang ka-endorse. Nurses, dahil wala kang ka-endorse. Question, nurses, pipilitin ka ba? Problema ba yan ng head nurse mo? Unang tanong, problema ba yan ng head nurse mo? Yes. So para ngayon masolve ang problema ni head nurse, tanong ko ngayon, pipilitin ka ba niyang mag-straight? Yes. O nurses, pero ang tanong, normally, ang staff, magre-reklamo ba? Yes. Ano sasabihin mo, ma'am? Maawa ka naman sa akin, ma'am. 3 araw na po akong walang tulog. O question, pag sinagot mo ng ganyan ang head nurse mo, tanong, problema niya ba ulit yun? Yes. So para ngayon, masolve ang problema ni head nurse. Anong gagawin ni head nurse? Kakausapin ka ulit. Anong sasabihin sa'yo? Sige na, mag-straight ka na, wala na akong makuha. Okay lang, kahit umidlip ka, sagot na kita. O tanong, pwede bang matulog sa ward? Hindi. Pwede bang umidlip sa ward? Hindi. Pero ang tanong, piniyagan ba ni head nurse masolve niya lang ang problema niya? Yes, and that is what we call smoothing. Ang mali ay ginagawang tama. Nagkakaintindihan po tayo. Maliwanag? Yes. Another nurses we have is what we call a sure compromise. Another is what we call a sure compromise. Now, what is compromise nurse? Compromise nurse is meeting halfway. Again, compromise is meeting halfway. Pag sinabi natin meeting halfway, meeting halfway, meeting halfway, ibig sabihin, in compromise, parehas bang nawawalan? Question, in compromise, parehas bang nawawalan? Yes. Parehas bang may sinasakripisyo? Yes. Pero nasosolve ba nila ang problema? Yes. Now question, madalas ba itong gamitin ng magjowa? Yes or no? Yes. Ito yung mag-aaway yung magjowa. Tapos sasabihin ng isa, Han, bati na tayo. Sasabihin naman ng isa, o sige, bati na tayo. Pero, promise mo muna sa akin ha, hindi ka na magpapa-change oil na hindi ako kasama. Yan. Sabi naman yung isa, oo, promise. Pero, ikaw din ha, i-promise mo, hindi ka na magpo-post na kung ano-anong sinasabi mo tungkol sa akin sa social media. O question, parehas bang nawalan? Parehas bang nawalan? Yes. Parehas bang may sinakripisyo? Yes. And that is what we call compromise. Nagkakaintindihan. And the last nurse we have is what we call a sure collaboration. The last nouners is what we call a sure collaboration. Now, what is collaborationers? Pag sinabi natin collaboration, collaboration is working hand in hand. Again, collaboration is working hand in hand. This is working hand in solving the problem. Again, working hand in solving the problem. Pag sinabi natin mga beshing, working hand in hand, working hand in hand, working hand in hand. In short, dito, lahat ba dito tulong-tulong? Yes. In nurses collaboration, does everybody give suggestion? Yes. And from the suggestion, you're going to try to find the best solution. That is the reason why in collaboration, this is also usually the time nurse that we do nurses, the what we call as your brainstorming. So in collaboration, this is usually the time that we do nurses, the what we call as your brainstorming. Now, what is brainstorming? Tanong, in brainstorming, does everybody give suggestion, yes or no? And from there, you're going to try to find the best solution. So what do I want you now, nurses, to remember about brainstorming? Always remember that when it comes to brainstorming, meron tayong number one rule in brainstorming. Sulat, lumalabas sa board. Number one rule in brainstorming, always remember, nurse, that in brainstorming, all ideas are welcome. Inuulit ko, in brainstorming, all ideas are welcome. Again, number one rule in brainstorming, all ideas are welcome. All ideas are welcome. Pag sinabi kong all ideas are welcome, tanong, lahat ba tatanggapin mo? Pag sinabi natin all ideas are welcome, question, lahat ba tatanggapin mo? Yes or no? Attorney, paano naman po yun? Yung isa ko pong staff, medyo psychotic po eh. Ang kanyang suggestion po, we all go to Mars. O hayop. Tanong, are you going to accept? Are you going to accept? Yes or no? Yes! Bakit? Ulitin natin. What is the number one rule? What is the number one rule? All ideas are welcome. So in short, nurses, kahit ganun yung suggestion niya, hindi naman ibig sabihin nun, yun na yung solution mo eh. You're just going to list it in your list of options. You're still going to try to find the best solution. So meaning, kahit medyo psychotic ang suggestion, tatanggapin mo ba? Yes. Hindi feasible, tatanggapin mo ba? Yes. Delikado, tatanggapin mo ba? Yes. Magastos, tatanggapin mo ba? Yes. Nurses, buwis buhay, tatanggapin mo ba? Yes. Bakit? Ulitin natin. What is the number one rule? All ideas are welcome. Nagkakaintindihan na tayo. Maliwanag? Yes. So itin natin ha. So these are now nurses, your different conflict resolution strategy. My question now is, nurses, looking at now nurses, your different conflict resolution strategy. My question is, sa lahat ng yan, may participation bang manager mo? Sa lahat ng yan, may participation ba si manager? Yes. Kaya tip in the board, tip in the board, tip in the board exam. If problem solving, decision making, conflict resolution, at ang isang option is all about reporting. Reporting, reporting. Sandali. Again, nurses, pag sinabi nating reporting, ito yung mga tipong the manager is asking for reports before he can decide on the issue. The manager is waiting for reports to be presented before he can decide on the matter. Question, is that reporting? Yes or no? Is that reporting? Yes. Now, question is, in reporting, may participation ba si manager? In reporting, may participation ba si manager? Yes or no? Again, in reporting, may participation ba si manager? Yes or no? O sige, kung yes, ano? Yung sumagot sa akin ng yes. O kung yes, ano? Sige, tanungin kita. Siya bang gumagawa ng report? Tanong, siya bang gumagawa ng report? Hindi. Nag-iintay lang ba siya ng report? Yes. Umaasa lang ba siya sa report? Yes. So ulitin natin ha. Again, in reporting, may participation ba si manager? Wala. Ulitin natin, siya ba ang gumagawa ng report? Hindi. Naghihintay lang ba ng report? Yes. Ang tanong ko ngayon, sigurado ba siya sa report? Sigurado ba siya sa report? No. He's not even sure, nurse, whether the report that was submitted to him is accurate or not. That's why tip in the board. If in the board exam, problem solving, conflict resolution, nurse, and one of your option is reporting, reporting, this is automatically a wrong answer. Inulit ko ha, basta reporting ang tanong. Nurses, reporting ang option. Tama o mali? Tama o mali? Mali. Bakit nga ulit mali? Ulitin natin. May participation si manager o wala? Wala. Siya bang gumagawa ng report? No. Naghihintay lang ba ng report? Yes. Sigurado ba siya sa report? No. So therefore, kung hindi ka sigurado gagamitin o hindi, hindi. So therefore, tama o mali? Mali. Nagkakaintindihan na tayo ha? Maliwanag. O, makinig ngayon. Now, this is no easy. Kung bang very objective ang tanungan sa board, mini, yung nasa option mo, ito lang mga strategies mo na to. Okay? Again, madali lang yan. So pag nakita mo tong si reporting, alam mo nang mali. But be careful, nurse. Be careful if your option is situational. Why? Because if nurses, if you're going to look at reporting at first glance, pag sa una mong binasa, mukha siyang tama. Do you agree? Do you agree? Pag situational yan, mukha yung tama. The manager is asking for reports before he can decide on the issue. The manager is waiting for reports to be presented before he can decide on the matter. Question, mukha bang tama? Yes or no? Yes. Pero inuulit ko, basta problem solving, umaasa sa report, that is automatically reporting. Tama o mali? Mali. Nagkakaintindihan ba tayo? Maliwanag. Hoy, sumagot kayo! May mga sumasama na sa liwanag. Mga hayop! Huwag kang sumama sa liwanag. Pigilan mo, besh. Yung kaluluwa mo, pag nurses, kumakawala sa katawang lupa, pakihila, pababa, itali sa bewang. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag. Maliwanag na tayo ha. So these are now nurses, your acceptable conflict resolution strategies. But of course, another thing that you need to consider, sometimes the question in the board are not about the strategies, but actually the approach in problem solving. So when it comes to approach, nurse, always remember that there are actually 4 approaches in problem solving. So pagdating sa problem solving, minsan ang tinatanong ng BON mo are not the strategies, but actually the approach in problem solving. Now, question is, what are now the different conflict resolution strategy? What are the 4 approaches, of problem solving? Number 1, nurse. Number 1, you have the win-lose approach. Number 1, you have the win-lose approach. Second, you have the lose-win approach. Second, you have the lose-win. Third, nurses, you have the lose. And the last, nurse, you have your win-win. So these are now the 4 approaches in problem solving. So this includes your win-lose, you have the lose-win, you have the lose, and the last you have your win-win. Now, makinig muna sa akin lahat. Makinig muna sa akin lahat. This is now what I want everybody to remember and understand. Always remember, in all of these approaches, inuulit ko, in all of these approaches, nurse, the manager were able to solve the problem. Inulit ko ha, in all of these approaches, the manager were able to solve the problem. So therefore, nasosolve ba ang problema? Yes or no? Yes. So ano lang ang tinitingnan natin dito? Ang tinitingnan lang natin dito, nurse, ay kung sino ang nagbe-benefit at kung sino ang nagsasacrifice. That's why, if you're going to look at your 4 approaches, your 4 approaches is actually divided into 2. It's actually divided into 2. This first part, nurse, this first part pertains to the manager or you. Why? Because in the actual board, pwedeng ikaw ang ilagay sa situation. Nagkakaintindihan ba? So inulit ko ha, first part, manager or you. Second part, this second part, nurses, pertains to the members or others. Second part pertains to the members or others. Ulitin natin. First part, manager or ikaw. Huwag mo ko idamay dyan. Ano ba't mo ko idinadamay? Lecturer lang akong buwisit ka. Ikaw nga, hindi ako. O ulitin natin, ayusin mo ang buhay mo. Ulitin natin. First part, manager or you. Second part, members or others. So let's start with the first approach. Now, what is the first approach? Ano sabi, nurses? What is again the first approach? What is again the first approach, nurses? Win-lose. Ulitin natin. Pag sinabi natin win-lose, nasolve ba ang problema? Unang tanong, nasolve ba ang problema? Yes. Tanong ko ngayon, sino nag-benefit? Sino nag-benefit? Si manager. Sino nurses ang nag-sacrifice? Members. So in win-lose, you were able to solve the problem. Able to solve the problem at the expense of others. Again, able to solve the problem at the expense of others. Again, able to solve the problem at the expense of others. Again, able to solve the problem at the expense of others. So, in short, nurses, sino nagsakripisyo? Members. Question, is that the same as your dominance and suppression? Yes or no? Yes, nagkakaintindihan. So let's now proceed with your win-lose. Pag sinabi natin win-lose, 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 unang tanong, pag sinabi natin win-lose, nurses, nasolve ba ang problema? Nasolve ba ang problema? Yes. Sino nag-benefit? Sino nag-benefit? Members. Sino nag-sacrifice? Sino nag-sacrifice? Manager. So in lose, win, you were able to solve the problem. Able to solve the problem at the expense of, at your own expense. Again, able to solve the problem at your own expense. Able to solve the problem at your own expense. So sino nagsakripisyo? Si manager. Question, could that be your restriction or power? Could that be a restriction or power? Yes or no? Yes. Nagkakainda. Could that be also your smoothing? Sabi ni manager, sige na, umidlip ka. Sagot na kita. Pag nahuli, sinong mananagot? Pag nahuli, sinong mananagot? Si manager. Nagkakaintindihan ba? So that is your lose, win. So let's now proceed with the third. Third, nurses, you have your lose, lose. Now, what is lose, lose? Ulitin natin. In lose, lose. Na-solve ba ang problema? Yes! Di ba sabi ko, in all of these approaches, the manager were able to solve the problem. Ulitin natin. Again, ay yes pala. O bilis magbago ng isip, hayop ka. Ulitin natin. In lose, lose. Na-solve ba ang problema? Yes. Sino nag-benefit? Sino nag-benefit? Wala. Sino nag-sacrifice? Sino nag-sacrifice? Both. In short, in lose, lose. Both parties sacrifice in the solution of the problem. Both parties sacrificed in the solution of the problem. Again, both parties sacrificed in the solution of the problem. Both parties sacrificed in the solution of the problem. So in short, in lose, lose. Parehas bang nawalan? Yes. Parehas bang may sinakripisyo? Yes. Question, could that be your compromise? Yes or no? Yes. Nagkakaintindihan. Now, the last, nurse, is your win-win. Ulitin natin yung win-win. Na-solve ba ang problema? Yes. Sino nag-benefit? Both. Sino nag-sacrifice? Sino nag-sacrifice? Wala. So in win-win, both parties benefit from the solution of the problem. In win-win, both parties benefit from the solution of the problem. So in short, parehas bang nakikinabang? Yes or no? Yes. Question, could that be your collaboration? Yes or no? Yes. Could that be also your majority rule? Yes or no? Yes. So itin natin na. So these are now the 4 approaches in problem solving. So whether now the question in the board exam are strategies or approach, kayang-kaya mo na bang sagutin? Yes or no? Yes. Nagkakaintindihan. Pero ulitin natin. Normal bang may problema? Yes. Normal bang may conflict? Yes. Ulitin natin. What is the priority of the manager? To solve the problem immediately. My next question now is, every time that the manager will solve the problem, question, may pagbabago bang mangyayari? Tanong, every time that the manager will solve the problem, may pagbabago bang mangyayari? Yes. And in management, nurse, this is what we call usher change management. Again, in management, this is what we call usher change management. Now, what is change management, nurse? Pag sinabi natin change management, nurse, is any alteration. Change management is any alteration in the status quo. Again, change management is any alteration in the status quo. Any alteration in the status quo. Pag sinabi kong alteration, alteration. Pag sinabi nating alteration, question is nurse, what is alteration? Is alteration change? Yes or no? Yes. At ano daw ang binabago mo? Ano daw ang binabago mo? Status quo. The next question now is, what is status quo? Next question is, what is status quo? Ang status quo ba ay hindi status mo? Kasi status quo, we set, hayop yan. O nurses, again, what is status quo? Pag sinabi natin status quo, nurse, status quo is the present situation. Again, status quo is the present situation. Pag sinabi natin present situation, ibig sabihin, ito ba ang nakasanayan? Yes or no? Yes. Nagkaroon ng problema. Tanong, kailangan bang baguhin ang nakasanayan? Yes. Therefore, are you going to perform problem solving? Yes. Are you going to do decision making? Yes. Ang tanong ko ngayon, ulitin natin, paborito ba yan ng BON sa board? Yes or no? Yes. At dahil paborito ito ng BON mo sa board exam, ulitin natin, kailangan nyo ba dito ng kapangyarihan? Yes. So inuulit ko, Besh. Ibabato ko ang kapangyarihan. Anong gagawin? Sasaluhin. Saluhin mo ng bonggang, bongga. Ilagay agad sa utak. Nagkakaintindihan. Sige. Taas ang kamay. O inuulit ko mga beshi ha, may dala akong sumpa. Ang kumukontra, 30 times na bumabagsak sa board. O taas ang kamay. Julie, taas ang kamay. Sino pa yan? Taas, taas, taas. Taas ang kamay. Saluhin ang kapangyarihan. O, ready. Ready ha? Saksak agad sa utak, hayop ka. Ready. 1, 2, 3. Yan. Saksak mo kagad sa utak mo. O, nurses. So, ano ang kapangyarihan? Ano ang kapangyarihan? Basta problem solve. Inuulit ko ha. Pag sinabi kong kapangyarihan nyo to nurse, there is no exception, no exception, no exception. All questions, and I mean all questions, nurse, in the board exam that talks about problem solving, decision making, ito lang ang basis ng sagot, wala nang iba. At ano lang ang kapangyarihan mo? Ang kapangyarihan mo lang, nurse, ay ang tinatawag natin change process. Again, ano ang kapangyarihan? Ano ang kapangyarihan? Change process. Again, anong kapangyarihan? Anong kapangyarihan? Change process. And what are now the steps, nurse, in the change process? Now, number 1, nurse, is for you to perceive the need to change. Again, the first step in the change process, nurse, is for you to perceive the need to change. Perceive the need to change. Pag sinabi kong perceive the need to change, perceive the need to change, perceive the need to change, meaning, do you need to identify the problem? Yes or no? Yes. Do you need to determine the issue? Yes or no? Yes. Do you need to accept that there is something that needs to be changed? Yes or no? Yes. Always remember, o makinig, always remember that when it comes to problem solving, decision making, the first thing, nurse, that should happen is always acceptance. The first thing that should happen, nurse, is always acceptance. In short, kinakailangan matanggap muna ng manager mo na may problema. Bakit? Dahil kung hindi niya tanggap na may problema, walang mangyayaring problem solving. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag? Yes, nurses. So, itin natin. What is the first step? What is again the first step? Perceive the need to change. Inuulit ko ha, basta ang tanong sa'yo sa board exam. First step, first step, first step. The first step is always for you to perceive the need to change. At uulitin ko, always remember, nurses, ang BON, this will not come out exactly in the board exam. Mautak ang BON, they can rephrase this in a million ways. So, itin natin. What is again the first step? What is again the first step? perceive the need to change. Pag sinabi natin perceive the need to change, meaning, do you need to identify the problem? Do you need to identify the problem? Yes. Do you need to determine the issue? Yes. Do you need nurses, again, accept that there is something that needs to be changed? Yes or no? Yes. So ulitin ko ha, basta first step, this is the first step. Pero the question now is, pag sinabi natin perceive the need to change, tanong, alam mo bang may problema? Alam mo bang may problema? Yes. But the question is, do you know exactly the problem? No. So kung alam mo may problema, but you do not know exactly the problem, nurse, then the first step is for you to perceive. But, makinig, but always remember, most of the time, ang problema nakasulat na sa situation. Most of the time, ang problema naka-indicate na sa question. So ang tanong, kung ang problema nakasulat na sa situation, question, do you still need to perceive? Kung ang problema nakasulat na, do you still need to perceive? Not anymore. Nagkakaintindihan. So this is now the time that you're going to proceed to the next step. And the next step, nurse, is for you to initiate a group interaction. Again, second step is for you to initiate a group interaction. Pag sinabi kong initiate a group interaction, meaning, are you going to bring the group together? Yes. Do you need to have a meeting with the group? Yes. Do you need to have a conference with the members? Yes. So itong step na to, lagyan mo ng asterisk, lagyan mo ng asterisk, lagyan mo ng asterisk. Lagyan mo ng highlight, lagyan mo ng highlight. Lagyan mo ng box, lagyan mo ng box. Bilugan mo, guhitan mo. In short, burahin. Ibig sabihin, again, is it important? Yes or no? Yes. Why? Because this is the key to problem solving. Always remember, nurse, this step is the key to problem solving. Again, this step is the key to problem solving. Pag sinabi kong this is the key to problem solving, ibig sabihin, madalas, ito ba ang sagot sa board exam? Yes. Why? Kasi madalas, ang problema nakasulat na sa situation. So, ulitin natin ha. What is the first step? What is again the first step? Perceive the need to change. Pero ulitin natin, nurses, most of the time, ang problema nakasulat na ba? Yes. So what is the key in problem solving? Initiate a group interaction. Pag sinabi natin initiate a group interaction, ulitin natin, are you going to bring the group together? Yes. Do you need to have a meeting with the group? Yes. Do you need to have a conference with the members? Yes. So ulitin natin, most of the time, ito ba ang sagot sa board exam? Yes. Ulitin natin, what is the key in problem solving? What is again the key in problem solving? Initiate a group interaction. Ulitin natin, nurses. Again, what is again the key in problem solving? Initiate a group interaction. My next question now is, who is the key? Next question is, who is the key? If this is the key to problem solving, question is, who is the key? Who is the key? The group. So meaning, if the group is the key, do you need their support? Do you need their support? Yes. Do you need their approval? Yes. Do you need to have nurses? Do you need their acceptance? Yes. O makinig. Ganito lang kasimple, besh. Kahit gaano ka-perfect ang solution mo sa problema ninyo, if your group will not accept your solution, your problem solving will not be effective. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag. Kaya ulitin natin. Nurses, who is the key? the group. So itin natin, do you need their support? Yes. Do you need their approval? Yes. Do you need to have an open communication with the members? Yes. Ulitin natin. What is the key in problem solving? What is again the key in problem solving? Initiate a group interaction. Now, who nurses? And who is the key? Group. My next question now is, if the group is the key, can you confront them individually? If the group is the key, question, can you confront them individually? Yes or no? No. If your problem concerns the group, it should always be group. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Inulit ko ha, if your problem concerns the group, it should always be group. Unless, makinig, unless nurses, your problem is just one staff. If your problem is just one staff, then you have to talk to the staff privately, confidentially. Never confront the staff together with the group. That will be a violation of your code of ethics. Nagkakaintindihan. That will be a violation of your code of ethics. Now, ang code of ethics po ninyo, pakibasa, pwede ba? Makikiusap po ako. Okay lang ba? Why? Because I do not have any more time, nurses, to discuss your code of ethics. So I want you to be able to read your code of ethics 3 to 5 times before the board. Why? Because ang ethics, hindi nawawala sa board exam. And if the question in the board is situational, basta ethical consideration yan, basta ethics yan, all answers are found in the code of ethics. Now, what is your code of ethics? This is downloadable naman. Your code of ethics is your BON, Resolution 220, Series of 2004. So this is nurses, your code of ethics. This is your BON Nurses Resolution 220, Series of 2004. And mind you, just for the information of everybody, this is our first and only code of ethics. Ito po ang nag-iisa at bukod tangi nating code of ethics. Bakit tayo nagkaroon ng code of ethics? Due nurses to the approval and promulgation nurses of your RA 9173. Nang dahil sa RA 9173 mo. Because under your RA 9173, under the powers and duties of the board, nurses, one of their duty is to promulgate a code of ethics. Before kasi, nung wala pa yan, ang code of ethics na ginagamit natin is the International Code of Ethics for Nurses. And since the approval of nurses RA 9173, so it is mandated, nurses, that the BON should promulgate our own code of ethics. Attorney, bakit ganon? Yung law natin, yung RA 9173, 2002 yun eh. Bakit yung Code of Ethics natin, 2004 na? O makinig ulit, para alam nyo kung paano ginagawa ang batas. Now, bakit nurses, 2002 ang nurses RA 9173, pero ang nurses Code of Ethics mo, 2004. Ganun po yan kasimple. Once the law, nurses, was signed, it is not yet deemed effective. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Okay, for the effectiveness of the law, there is usually a requirement of publication. There's usually a requirement of publication. And usually publication, depende sa effectivity clause na nakalagay. Pwedeng immediately after signing, or pwedeng effectivity is 15 days from publication, etc. Now, most of the time, it's nurses 15 days from publication. And remember, your RA 9173 was signed and approved in October of 2002. So may publication pa yan, ipapublish pa yan, doon pa lang siya naging effective. Sabihin mo, nurses, naging effective siya by November. Pero once effective siya, it cannot yet be implemented. Why? Because the executive department who needs to execute the law must first create an implementing rules and regulation. So pag nurses approve no naging effective na, gumawa ba muna ang BON, ang PRC ng rules and regulations? Nagkakaintindihan ba? Implementing rules, gumawa pa yan, nurses. So na-approve nurses nurses na establish ang implementing rules. 2003 na. This is your BON Resolution 425, series of 2003. Now, once it was already approved ang implementation, that was the only time that they created and nurses again approved a code of ethics. Kaya ang code of ethics mo was signed and approved in July 14, 2004. Kasi ganun ang proseso nun. Nagkakaintindihan. So hindi porke pinirmahan ng batas ng presidente, automatic pwede nang i-implement. Hindi. Kailangan may implementing rules and regulation to guide the public. Kasi kung walang implementing rules, the public will not be guided. It could be nurses considered unconstitutional because nurses of the reason ground for void nurses due to overbreath or vagueness. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Parang katulad lang, kung maaalala ninyo. Naalala ninyo yung car seat law? Naalala nyo ba yon? Yung car seat law? Yung mga bata ilalagay sa car seat? Yung hanggang 12 years old, ilalagay mo sa car seat, utang na loob, bish. Ang mga bata ngayon, yung ibang 12 years old, matangkad pa sa'yo. Lagay nurses, imaginein mo, ilalagay mo sa car seat, ano nang itsura ng bata. Paglabas ng bata, may stiff neck na. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Pero tingnan mo to, it was not implemented. Why? Kasi hindi nila naayos yung implementing rules and regulation of the law. So hindi mo nila yan pwedeng implement hanggat hindi nila yung inaayos. Same with our nurses law. Nagkakaintindihan. Kaya ang BON resolution mo, 2004 na. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag. Yes. Sinulit ko nga, pakibasa po ang Code of Ethics ninyo. Maikli lang naman yan. Huwag kang tamad. Before the board, I want you to be able to read it 3 to 5 times. May lang yan. It only has 7 articles. Article 1 is your preamble. Your preamble has only 3 sections. The most important is section 1. Ano nakasagot sa section 1? Health is a fundamental right of every individual, and as a registered nurse, your primary responsibility is to preserve health at all costs. And it encompasses nurses yung fourfold responsibility mo. It includes nurses your promotion of health, prevention of illness, alleviation of suffering, and restoration of health. And if that is not possible, nurses, again, may fifthfold responsibility ka pa rin. That is to assist towards a peaceful death. Nagkakaintindihan. Now, nurses, under nurses also your preamble section 3, dito nakasulat ang purpose ng Code of Ethics mo. And what is the purpose? That is to attain and maintain the highest possible degree of ethical conduct. Now, Article 2 to Article 6 is your ethical responsibility. This includes RN in the people, RN in the practice, RN in the society, RN in the co-workers, RN in the society and the environment, and RN in the profession. Now, sabi ko nga, this is self-explanatory. Why? Because each of the articles has only 2 sections, except Article 3, which is RN in the practice. RN in the practice has 6 sections. Pero sabi ko nga self-explanatory because the first nurses section per article is always the ethical principle. The next section are always the guidelines to be observed. Ano ang gagawin mo para ma-meet mo yung ethical principle mo? Now, Article 7 nurses, this is section 18, 19, 20, only talks about nurses, administrative penalties, repealing clause, effectivity. Ano lang gusto kong tandaan mo doon? Ang gusto kong tandaan is the administrative penalty. What will happen if you're going to violate the Code of Ethics? It may cause nurses either the revocation or suspension of your license pursuant to your RA 9173, nurses, or the Philippine Nursing Act of 2002, and the implementing rules and regulation, which is your BON Resolution 425 series of 2003. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Shit! Para ako nag-rap, nagkakaintindihan, kakaloka, yung iba hindi na sumagot, galawin nyo yung baso, mga hayop kayo. May kausap ba ako? May kausap. Maliwanag po tayo. Maliwanag. So inuulit ko, nurses, if your problem concerns the group, it should always be group. Why? Because nurses, if you're going to confront the staff, nurses, kung isa lang ang problema mo, and you're going to confront them together with the group, that will be a violation of your Code of Ethics, Article 4, RN, and the co-workers. Because you cannot, nurses, leave demeaning or embarrassing comments, nurses, towards your co-workers. Nagkakaintindihan ba? So inuulit ko if the attorney Parkila ng brain, Besh, kung pwede lang. Kung pwede ko lang, nurses, iparkila yung utak ko para kumita ako ng extra chef, gagawin ko ng hayop ka. Mukha akong pera. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Oh, so ulitin ko ha. Again, so if your problem concerns the group, it would be group. But if your problem is just one staff, then you have to talk to the staff privately, confidentially. Nagkakaintindihan po tayo. Maliwanag. Maliwanag. So ulitin natin. What is again the first step? Perceive the need to change. Pero ulitin natin, most of the time, nakasulat na ba ang problema? Yes. So what is again the next step? What is, nurses, the key to problem solving? Initiate a group interaction. Ulitin natin. Pag sinabi natin initiate a group interaction, are you going to bring the group together? Yes. Do you need to have a meeting with the group? Yes. Do you need to have a conference with the members? Yes. Are you going to try to find the best solution here? Yes or no? Yes. And who is the key? Group. Do you need their support? Yes. Do you need their approval? Yes. Do you need to have an open communication with the members? Yes. So one solution now has been made. Then the next step is for you to implement the plan. Implement, nurses, the plan one step at a time. Next step is for you to implement the plan one step at a time. Pag sinabi kong implement the plan one step at a time, in short, are you going to implement the change gradually? Yes or no? Yes. Bakit gradual? Bakit gradual? Balikan natin. Ano nga ulit, nurses? Ano nga ulit ang binabago mo? Ano nga ulit ang binabago natin? Ano nga ulit ang binabago natin? Status quo. Ulitin natin. What is against status quo? What is against status quo? Present situation. Ulitin natin. Ito bang nakasanayan? Yes. Tanong, madali bang baguhin ang nakasanayan? No. Kung bibiglain mo yan, will there be resistance? Yes or no? Yes. That's why you have to do it gradually, nurse, so that you can prevent resistance. Do it gradually so that you can prevent resistance. Do it gradually so that you can prevent resistance. Now, once you have already implemented the plan, then the next step is for you now to evaluate. Evaluate now, nurse, the overall results. Evaluate the overall results. At pag sinabi natin evaluate the overall results, meaning, are you going to look into if the problem solving has been effective? Yes or no? Yes. So ito ka na ngayon. O what if ito ngayon ang lumabas sa'yo sa board? What if ito ngayon ang lumabas sa'yo sa board exam? Problem solving, problem solving, problem solving. The problem is there's a new equipment. There's a new equipment that was brought in the unit. Again, new equipment brought in the unit. Your staff doesn't know how to use the new equipment. Question, problema ba yan? Yes. Ang tanong, naka-indicate na ba ang problema? Yes. So do you still need to perceive? Not anymore, tapos ka na dyan. So ulitin ko ha, new equipment brought in the unit, your staff doesn't know how to use the new equipment. Together with your staff, you taught them gradually on how to use the new equipment. Question, kasama mo na ba ang staff? Yes. Did you already implement it gradually? Yes or no? Yes. So tapos ka na rin dyan. Ulitin ko ha. New equipment brought in the unit, your staff doesn't know how to use the new equipment. Together with your staff, you taught them gradually on how to use the new equipment. After teaching them to use the new equipment, everybody learned to use the new equipment. Everybody learned to use the new equipment except for one. One of your staff still has difficulty in using the new equipment. Question now is, nurses, in short, nasa evaluate ka na ba? Nandito ka na ba? Yes. Question now is, your staff doesn't know how to use the new equipment. Question now is, what are you going to do? Question now is, what are you going to do? Questioners, will you go back to the two aspects of directing? Will you go back, nurse, to the two aspects? Yes or no? Yes. Ulitin natin. What are again the two aspects of directing? What are again the two aspects of directing? Technical and interpersonal. Pag samating technical nurses, again, ulitin natin, sagot na ba ang meron ka dyan? Pag sinabi kong sagot, mag-iisip ka pa ba? Hahanapin na lang ba? Yes, ulitin natin. Your staff has difficulty in using the new equipment. Question, saan ka magpo-fall? Technical, interpersonal? Technical. At ulitin natin, basta technical ang problema. Ano nga ang mga sagot sa board exam? Show, teach, demonstrate, supervise, do, or perform it with a nurse. Iba naman ang lumabas, besh. Problem solving, same scenario. New equipment brought in the unit, your staff doesn't know how to use the new equipment. Nurses, together with your staff, you taught them gradually on how to use the new equipment. This time, everybody learned to use the new equipment. But despite them learning to use the new equipment, they resist in using the new equipment and insist in using the traditional way. Question, what are you going to do? Saan ka ngayon mag-fall? Technical, interpersonal? Interpersonal. Attitude and behavior ba yan? Yes. At ulitin natin, basta attitude and behavior, ano lang ang sagot sa board exam? Verbalization. Any option in the board that talks about verbalization, is that always the best answer? Yes or no? Yes. In short, Beshi, ang two aspects mo, gamit na gamit mo ba? Yes or no? Yes. Not just in directing, not just in delegation, but also in problem solving. At ulitin ko, sagot na ba meron ka? Yes. Pag sinabi kong sagot, mag-iisip ka pa ba? No. Nurses, hahanapin na lang ba? Yes. Nagkakaintindihan na tayo. Maliwanag. Oh, hawak na ang kapangyarihan. Hawak na ang kapangyarihan na utang na loob, besh. Wag nang bibitawan. Kayang-kaya ba yan sa board exam? Yes or no? Yes. O utang na loob ha. Pinadadali ko ang board exam. Do you see the relationship of your concepts? Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag. Yes. O wag nang bibitawan. Hindi ako nagbibiro. Basta problem solving, dyan lang iikot ang tanungan. Nandyan lang ang sagot, hindi lalabas dyan. Nagkakaintindihan po tayo. Maliwanag. Yes. Now, nurses, but if we're going to look at the last step in your change process, the last step, nurse, for you to evaluate. Now, if we're talking about evaluation, you're actually entering already the last function of management. And what is the last function of management? Controlling. And I will discuss controlling after the break. Mabilis na lang yung controlling natin. Sa controlling, kapangyarihan na kaagad. Okay? Agad-agad kapangyarihan na. Pagkatapos nun, we're going to proceed with your favorite subject. Research. Nagkakaintindihan. Maliwanag? Maliwanag po? Any question? Any question? Wala. Sige, break muna. Kumuha ka na ng oxygen sa utak mo, buwisit ka. Para hindi ka makatulog, hayop ka. Sige, break muna. Sige po, paki-on na po yung cam. Paki-on na po. Para mo po mag-start na tayo kasi hanggang 4:30 lang tayo today. So I have class ng 5 o'clock. Paki-on na po. Paki-on na po. Turn on your cams. So again, so sabi ko nga kanina, if you're going to look at nurses, your change process, the last step here is for to evaluate the overall results. And if we're talking about evaluating the overall results, nurses, we're actually already entering the last function of management, which is controlling. Question now is, what about control? What is controlling? Pag sinabi natin controlling, nurse, controlling is seeing to it. Seeing to it that what is planned is done. Again, seeing to it that what is planned is done. Again, seeing to it that what is planned is done. Pag sinabi natin seeing to it that what is planned is done, meaning kung ano man ang plinano mo, nurses, gusto mo bang siguradong mangyari? Yes or no? Yes. So meaning in controlling, are you being strict? Yes or no? Yes, very good example. Let's go back to your NCP. What is again NCP? What is again NCP? Nursing care plan. And remember, in the nursing care plan, did you create your goals of care? Yes. Question, ang goals of care mo, yun bang gusto mo mangyari sa patient mo? Yes or no? Yes, but always remember, nurse, before you can create the goals of care, nurses, sabi natin, what is the first thing that you need to do? Assess. You need to assess first their present situation. But always remember, at the end of the NCP, you have your evaluation. Question, ano ang gusto mong maisulat mo sa evaluation mo? Na-meet mo o hindi mo na-meet yung goal mo? Na-meet. So do you want to see to it that whatever you have planned has been done? Yes or no? Yes. And that is what we call controlling. Pero ulitin ko, when it comes to the board, nurses, most of the time, you will not see controlling. Nurses in the board exam. Kung walang controlling, hindi na yan madalas ginagamit. So question, kung walang controlling sa board, what is another term that the BON would use? What is another term that they're going to use? O, kasasabi lang natin. Nurses, another term that they're going to use is evaluating. Attorney, wala din pong evaluating sa board. Wala pa rin. Another term that they're going to use is checking. Reviewing. Another term that they're going to use is reviewing. Attorney, wala din pong reviewing. Wala pa rin. Another term that they're going to use is checking. So again, evaluating, reviewing, checking. Attorney, wala din pong checking. Wala pa rin. Another term that they're going to use is determining. Another term that they're going to use is determining. Wala din pong determining. Wala pa rin. Another term that they're going to use is comparing. Another term that they're going to use is comparing. So ulitin natin, sagot nurses. Again, kung walang controlling sa board, what is another term that the BON would use? Evaluating. Walang evaluating. Reviewing. Walang reviewing. Checking. Walang checking. Determining. Walang determining. Comparing. So meaning, pag lumabas sa board exam, you're reviewing the chart of the patient. Question, is that nurses controlling? Yes or no? Yes. You're checking the vital signs. Is that controlling? Yes. You're trying to compare the actual nursing care done. Is that controlling? Yes. You're trying to nurses compare, determine whether they perform the procedure. Is that controlling? Yes or no? Yes, nagkakaintindihan. Now, ang tanong ko ngayon, ang controlling po ba ay paborito ng BON sa board? Yes, dahil paborito ito ng BON sa board exam, ulitin natin, kailangan nyo ba dito ng kapangyarihan? Yes or no? Yes. Inuulit ko, besh. Nurses, ibabato ang kapangyarihan. Anong gagawin? Sasaluhin. Saluhin mo ng bongga. Ilagay agad sa utak. Pero wait, there's more. Sandali lang. Ba't may nagre-raise na ng hand? Sasabunutan ko tong mga to eh. Wala pa, nagtatanong pa lang akong hayop kay. Now, wait, sabi ko, there's more. Why? Kasi ibibigay ko sa inyo, kapangyarihan na, sagot pa. O question, gusto din ba ng sagot? Yes. Pag sinabi kong sagot, mag-iisip ka pa ba? No. Hahanapin na lang ba? Yes. So therefore, yung ibibigay ko sa inyo nurses, yung ibabato ko sa inyo nurses, kapangyarihan na sagot pa. So in short, nurses, yung ibabato ko sa inyo ay mas bongga. In short, kailangan mo din ba ito saluhin ng mas bongga. Yes or no? Yes. O taas ang kamay. Saluhin ang kapangyarihan. Taas. Taas ang kamay, taas. Oh, ready. Ready tayo ha. Saksak agad sa utak. Ready. 1, 2, 3. Yan. Saksak agad sa utak. Yan. Oh, ano ang kapangyarihan mo ngayon dito, nurse? Ang kapangyarihan mo dito are said to be the 4 basic steps of controlling. Again, ano ang kapangyarihan? Ang kapangyarihan is said to be the 4 basic steps of controlling. Again, anong kapangyarihan? Anong kapangyarihan? Anong kapangyarihan, nurse? 4 basic steps. Again, anong kapangyarihan? Anong kapangyarihan? 4 basic steps. Again, anong kapangyarihan? 4 basic steps. And question now is, what are the 4 basic steps of controlling? Number 1, nurse, is for you to develop standards and criteria. Again, number 1 is for you to develop standards and criteria. Develop standards and criteria. Pag sinabi natin develop standards and criteria, ibig sabihin, the question now is, what is nurses standard? Pag sinabi natin standard nurse, always remember, standard nurse is the predetermined. Again, standard nurse is the predetermined level of care. Inulit ko, standard is the predetermined level of care. Pag sinabi kong predetermined, ibig sabihin, nakaset na ba yan? Pag sinabi natin predetermined, nakaset na ba yan? Yes. Now, what about criteria? Criteria now, nurse, are the characteristics used. Criteria are the characteristics used to meet the level of care. Again, criteria, nurse, are the characteristics used to meet the level of care. These are the characteristics used to meet the level of care. In short, ito daw bang gagamitin mo para ma-meet mo ang standard mo? Yes or no? Yes. Very good example. Let's go back to the OR. Ano nga ulit ang policy natin sa loob ng OR? Ano ulit ang policy natin sa loob ng OR? sterile. Nagkakaintindihan. That is the reason why in nurses, again, nurses, one of the procedure that you need to do if you're the scrub nurse is scrubbing. Do you agree, yes or no? Yes. Question now is there a standard scrubbing? Question, is there a standard scrubbing? Yes. Ang tanong ko ngayon, paano mo ngayon malalaman kung yung nurses, yung scrubbing na ginawa mo is said to be standard? Question, do you need to meet the criteria of scrubbing? Yes or no? Yes. In scrubbing, question, dapat ba pati mga sulok-sulok kasama? Yes. Dapat ba pati mga kuko? Yes. Dapat ba nurses both sides? Yes or no? Yes. Dapat ba hanggang dito? Yes. Is there a correct motion in doing the scrubbing? Yes or no? Yes. May bigat din ba ang scrubbing mo? Yes. Is there also a length of time for you to do the scrubbing? Yes. So meaning, if you have met all of those criteria, is the scrubbing now said to be standard? Yes or no? Yes. So those are your standards and criteria. So itin natin, what's the first step? What is again the first step? Develop standards and criteria. Now, my next question is, if you're developing the standards and criteria, question, nag-i-evaluate ka na ba? Question, if you're developing nurse, the standards and criteria, tanong, nag-i-evaluate ka na ba? Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Why? Because you're still creating nurse, the basis for evaluation. And what is the basis for evaluation? Standards and criteria. Again, what is the basis for evaluation? Standards and criteria. Ulitin natin. What is the basis of evaluation? What's the basis of evaluation? Standards and criteria. Ulitin natin. Sumagot, sumagot, sumagot. Utilize the chat box. What is the basis of evaluation? Standards and criteria. Kaya tip in the board. Tip in the board. Tip in the board exam. Basta evaluation ang tanong sa board exam. Nurses, controlling, evaluation, reviewing, checking, determining, comparing. Basta controlling yan. Ano lang ang sagot sa board? Again, ano lang ang sagot sa board? Oy, tingnan niyo yung binibilugan ko. Ano lang ang sagot sa board? Again, ano lang ang sagot sa board? Standards. In short, any option nurses in the board exam that talks about standards, that will always be the best answer. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Why? Because that is the basis of evaluation. Nagkakaintindihan. Hindi mo yan napapansin noon. Pero ngayon, mapapansin mo na siya. Makikita mo na siya. Nagkakaintindihan po tayo. Maliwanag. Maliwanag. Yes, ulitin natin. What is the basis of evaluation? What is the basis of controlling? Standards. Inuulit ko, any option in the board that talks about standards, is that always the best answer? Yes or no? Yes. So ulitin ko, nurse, sagot na ba yan? Sagot na ba yan, nurse? Yes. Pag sinabi kong sagot, mag-iisip ka pa ba? No. Hahanapin na lang ba? Yes or no? Yes, that's why when it comes basta viewing, checking, determining any option, hindi ako nagbibiro, makikita mo na ito ngayon, mapapansin mo na, dati hindi mo ito napapansin eh. Basta controlling ang tanong, nurses, basta evaluation nga. Any nurses option that talks about standards, that will be the best answer. That's why, when it comes to standards, I want you to remember that there are also 3 types of standards. Always remember also that there are also 3 types of standards. And what are the 3 types of standards? For the 3 types of standards, nurse, you have the mnemonic SPO. Again, for the 3 types of standards, you have the mnemonic SPO. Again, what is your mnemonic? SPO. Again, what is your mnemonic? SPO. Question now is, what is SPO? Now, pag nurses, what is SPO? S, nurses, stands for your structure. P stands for your process, and O stands for your outcome. So inuulit ko ha, there are 3 types of standards, nurse. And what are again the 3 types of standards? Ano namunit? Anong namunit? SPO. What is again SPO? Structure, process, outcome. Now, isa po ito ngayon, nurses. So gusto ko ding tandaan mo pagdating sa board exam. I want you to remember, nurses, the inclusion of both. Why? Para pag binigyan ka ng tanong sa board exam, alam mo rin kung anong isasagot. Isa ito sa lumalabas sa board. You'll be given a situation in the board exam. Then from that situation, you have to identify what type of standard is being used, whether that is a standard structure, process, or outcome. So let's start with your structure. Question now is, what does your structure include? Always remember, nurse, structure, nurses, includes facilities. Again, this includes facilities, equipments. This includes facilities, equipments, materials, and management system. Again, this includes facilities, equipments, materials, and management system. Now, what about process? Process naman, nurse, includes plans and procedures. Again, process includes plans and procedures. Process, nurses, includes plans and procedures. What about outcome? Outcome naman pertains to results. Again, outcome, nurses, pertains to results. So ulitin ko ha. So there are 2 types of standards, nurses. At there are 3 types of standards. You have your structure, process, outcome. Inuulit ko, gusto ko memorize. Tutulungan ulit kita. So again, kahit hindi ka naririnig, magsalita ka. Tutulungan kita mag-memorize. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag? Yes. So ulitin natin. What does your structure include? Sagot tayo. Facilities, equipments, materials, management system. Isa ba? Structure. One more, structure. Isa ba? Structure. One more, without looking now at your notes. Without looking now at your notes, structure. Isa ba? Structure. Oh, for the last time, structure. Process. Plans and procedures. Again, process. Again, process. Outcome. Results. Outcome. Again, outcome. Ulitin natin. Structure. Process. Outcome. Oh, inuulit ko ha. Again, in the board, ang lumalabas, bibigyan ka ng situation. Then you have to identify what type of standard is being used, whether that is a standard structure, process, or outcome. So I will now give you an example. Then try to tell me whether the type of standard that should be used is a standard structure, process, or outcome. Nagkakaintindihan ba tayo? Maliwanag? Yes. For example, patient has a well-lit and well-ventilated room. Patient has a well-lit and well-ventilated room. What is that? Structure. Bakit? Bakit? Facilities. Pumasok kasi siya doon. Nagkakaintindihan ba tayo? Maliwanag. All equipments in the OR are sterile. Again, all equipments in the OR are sterile. Structure. Bakit? Bakit? Equipments kasi. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Nurses, patient verbalize satisfaction on the nursing care received. Patient verbalize satisfaction on the nursing care received. Outcome, bakit? Ano makukuha mo? Ano makukuha mo? Results. Very good. Nurse gave intradermal injection to a patient with fever. Again, nurse gave intradermal injection to a patient with fever. Process. Bakit? Bakit process? Procedure kasi. Very good. Nurse checks client's identification band before giving medication. Nurse checks client's identification band before giving medication. Process. Bakit? Procedure pa rin. Patient answered an evaluation form before discharge. Patient answered an evaluation form before discharge. Outcome. Bakit? Ano makukuha? Result. O, makinig sa akin ngayon. Listen very carefully. O, makinig. This is what I want everybody to do in the actual board para hindi ka magkamali dito. Basta tinatanong sa'yo the 3 types of standards. The first thing that I want you to look for, binigyan ka ng tanong, check first if the question talks about results. Inulit ko ha, ang una mong hanapin, tanungin mo ang sarili mo, is it about results? If it is about result, it's looking for results. Automatic, that is outcome. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Yun ang una mong titignan. Now, kung binasa mo hindi siya result, then, ang next mong titignan, kung may ginagawa. Ang next mong titignan, kung may ginagawa. At kung may ginagawa, tignan mo kung sinong gumagawa. Kung si nurse o si manager. Bakit? Dahil kung si nurse ang gumawa, automatic that is a process. Pero, pag si manager ang gumawa, it will automatically become an outcome. Outcome structure. It will automatically become a structure. Why? Dahil pag si manager ang gumawa, it is automatically a management system. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag tayo nga, ulitin ko. Basta type of standards ang tinatanong, una mong tignan kung nurses all about result. Basta result, automatic ano sagot? Outcome. Pag hindi result, tignan ko may ginagawa. Kung may ginagawa, tignan ko sinong gumagawa. Pag si nurse ang gumawa, process. Pero pag si manager ang gumawa, it will become a structure. Nagkakaintindihan tayo. Maliwanag. Yes, for example, nurse checks client's identification band before giving medication. Again, nurse checks allergic reaction for the drug given. Again, nurse checks allergic reaction for the drug given. What is that? Sige, ito na naman yung sinasabi ko. Ulitin ko ha. Nurse checks allergic reaction for the drug given. Unang tanong, anong chinek? Allergic reaction. Ulitin natin. Sagutin mo muna ako. Anong chinek? Allergic reaction. Question, what is allergic reaction? Result. Therefore, what is that? Outcome. Yan yung sinasabi ko sa'yo kanina. Buisit ka. Oo ka pa sa akin ng oo. Hindi mo din akong sinunod, hayop ka. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Do you get it now? Yes or no? Yes, nurses. Para hindi ka magkamali. Pero kung halimbawa nakasulat, nurse gave intradermal injection to to check for allergic reaction. Question, are we talking about results? Are we talking about results? No. Ang tanong ko, meron bang ginagawa? Yes. Nagbigay na intradermal injection. O tanong, ang intradermal injection, sinong gumagawa? Si nurse o si manager? Si nurse. O therefore, what is this? Process. Nagkakaintindihan na ba? Maliwanag tayo. O nurse-patient ratio shall be 1:6 for adult cases. Nurse-patient ratio shall be 1:6 for adult cases. Unang tanong, are we talking about the results? Are we talking about the results? No. Nurses. So ang tanong ngayon, nurses, nurse-patient ratio is 1:6 for adult cases. Meron bang ginagawa? Yes! Anong wala? Yung nurse-patient ratio, sasabunutan ko yung bulbul mo. Meron bang ginagawa? Yes! Ano yung ginagawa? The nurse-patient ratio. O question, ang nurse-patient ratio, sinong gumagawa? Si nurse o si manager? Si manager. So automatic, anong sagot? Structure. Aside from facilities, equipments, materials. Automatic yon. Bakit? Question. Pag yan ay 1:6, 1:6, 1:6. What is 1:6? Ano yung 1:6? Ratio daw. Alam ko! Alam kong ratio yon, sasabunutan kita. What is 1:6 nga na ratio? Sasabunutan ko yung mga bulbul nitong mga batang to eh. Pinag-iinit ang ulo ko eh. Ulitin natin. What is 1:6? Primary nursing. Is it nurse as a nursing care system? Yes. Therefore, is it a management system? Yes. So, ulitin natin. Again, nurses. Anong unang-unang hahanapin? Result. Basta result, automatic. Nurses, outcome. Pag hindi result, tingnan kung may ginagawa. Kung may ginagawa, tingnan kung sinong gumagawa. Pag si nurse ang gumawa, process. Pag si manager ang gumawa, structure, because it is a management system. Aside from facilities, equipments, materials. Ulitin natin. What is the first step? What is the first step? Ano structure? Hayop ka. First step. Sasabunod. Hindi talaga pwedeng binibigla itong mga batang to. Ulitin natin. What is the first step? Develop standards and criteria. Ulitin natin. Nag-evaluate na ba? Nag-evaluate na ba? No. Are you creating the basis? Yes or no? Yes. What is again the basis? Standards and criteria. Again, what is the basis? Standards and criteria. Kaya sa board exam, ano ang sagot? Sa board exam, ano ang sagot? Standards. So what are the 3 types of standards? Ano namunit? SBO. What is SBO? Structure, process, outcome. After now creating the basis for evaluation, this is now the time that you're going to proceed to the next step. And the next step is for you to determine compliance. Determine compliance, nurse, to your standards and criteria. Determine compliance to your standards and criteria. Again, determine compliance to your standards and criteria. At pag sinabi natin compliance, is compliance magsunod? Yes or no? Yes. So gusto mo nang malaman kung sila'y sumusunod. Kung gusto mo nang malaman kung sila'y sumusunod, is this already evaluation? Yes or no? Yes. So what do I want you now to remember when it comes to evaluation in the unit? Always remember in the unit, there are 2 types of evaluation that we do in the unit. One, nurses, is what we call your nursing audit, and the other one is what we call as your performance appraisal. Again, there are 2 types of nursing audit, nurse. One, nurses, is what we call your nursing audit, and the other one is what we call as your performance appraisal. Question now is, between the 2, alin dyan ang nurses staff focus? Between the 2, alin dyan ang staff focus? Pag sinabi kong staff focus, si staff ang ini-evaluate. Nursing audit o performance appraisal? Performance appraisal. Always remember, nurse, performance appraisal is staff focus. Sinong ini-evaluate? Si staff. Nagkakaintindihan. Question now is, sino ngayon ang patient focus? Pag sinabi kong patient focus, si patient sinong ini-evaluate? Patient. Gusto mong malaman kung tama ang ginagawa mo. Sinong titignan mo? Patient mo. Sino ngayon ang patient focus? Nursing audit. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Ulitin natin. Sinong staff focus? Performance appraisal. Sinong patient focus? Nursing audit. Nagkakaintindihan. Now, pag sinabi natin patient focus, sinong ini-evaluate? Sinong ini-evaluate? Nurses. Pag sinabi natin patient focus, sinong ini-evaluate? Patient. Patient nga. Nurses. Again, pag sinabi natin patient focus, sinong ini-evaluate? Patient. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Now, always remember now when it comes to nursing audit, we have two types of nursing audit. Dalawa yan. One nurses is what we call your concurrent nursing audit. One is what we call your concurrent. Meron nga ako dito. Yan. One nurses is what we call your concurrent nursing audit. And the other one is what we call your retrospective. Inulit ko ha, there are two types of nursing audit nurse. One is what we call the concurrent nursing audit. One is what we call the concurrent, and the other one is what we call a retrospective. So inulit ko, there are two types of nursing audit nurse. One is what we call the concurrent, and the other one is what we call a retrospective. Now, let's start with the concurrent nursing audit. Pag sinabi kong concurrent, question now is, nurses, what does current mean? Let's start with the word current. What does current mean? Present. Now, meaning, in a concurrent nursing audit, you evaluate as the care is given. Again, in a concurrent nursing audit, you evaluate as the care is given. Evaluate as the care is given. Pag sinabi kong evaluate as the care is given, meaning, nurses, in a concurrent nursing audit, nurses, pagkabigay mo ng nursing care sa patient mo are going to evaluate immediately if the nursing care has been effective. Yes or no? Are going to evaluate immediately if the nursing care has been effective? Yes. A very good example. Huwag na tayong lumayo. For example, nurse, your patient has fever. Your patient nurses has fever. Ulitin natin. For a patient with fever, anong standard process na ginagawa natin? For a patient with fever, anong standard process ang ginagawa natin, nurse? TSB. Now, question is, you provided TSB. Question, after giving TSB, do you need to check whether the TSB has been effective? Yes or no? Yes. So what are you going to do? Check the temperature. Kaninong temperature? Patient. That's why it is patient focus. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Now, what about a retrospective nursing audit? Pag sinabi natin retrospective, anong keyword mo? Retro. Pag sinabi natin retro, ibig sabihin tapos na ba? Yes. So meaning, have you already provided nursing care? Yes. So meaning dito, lumipas na ba ang oras? Yes. So time has already elapsed here. So question is, pwede bang discharge na ang pasyente dito? Question, pwede bang discharge na ang pasyente? Yes or no? Yes. So question is, kung discharge na ang pasyente o nurses, question is, kung discharge na ang pasyente, nurses, tapos na ba ang ginawa sa kanya? Yes or no? O pag sinabi natin discharge na ang pasyente, ibig sabihin tapos na ba ang ginawa sa kanila? Yes. Nurses, attorney, how can I evaluate my patient if my patient is already discharged? O ulitin natin. Nurses, ulitin natin. Sabi natin nurses, pag sinabi natin nurses, discharge na ang pasyente, tapos na ba ang ginawa sa kanya? Yes. But after nurses, a few days, your patient now develops some complication. Question, babalik ba sila sa ospital? Yes. O question. Pagbalik sa ospital, anong unang-unang chine-check? Pagbalik sa ospital, anong unang-unang chine-check? Anong vital signs? Sasabunutan kita. Pagbalik nila sa ospital, anong unang-unang chine-check? Chart. Record. Kaninong chart? Patient. Kaninong record? Patient. That's why it is still patient focus. Nagkakaintindihan. O tanong, pwede ba nurses naka-confine pero retrospective? Yes or no? Pwede ba naka-confine yung pasyente pero retrospective? Yes or no? Yes, nagkakaintindihan. Now, very good example, nurse. Very good example. O nurses, you gave medication to your patient. After giving medication to your patient, you conducted a concurrent nursing audit. Nothing seemed to happen to the patient. Mukha namang walang problema. But after nurses, a few hours, your patient suddenly developed a drug-to-drug interaction. Question, if your patient will suddenly develop a drug-to-drug interaction, anong unang-una natin chine-check? Anong unang-una natin chine-check? Again, your patient suddenly develop a drug-to-drug interaction. Anong unang-una natin chine-check? Chart! Kaninong chart? Patient. That's why in a retrospective nursing audit, the source of evaluation is the patient's chart. That's why in a retrospective nursing audit, nurse, the source of evaluation is the patient's chart. Again, source of evaluation is the patient's chart. So in short, pag lumabas sa board exam, you're reviewing the chart of the patient. Anong ginagawa mo? Nursing audit o performance appraisal? Nursing audit. Nurses, and what type of nursing audit? Retrospective. Nagkakaintindihan. Pero sa board exam, ano pa rin ang sagot? Standard. Nagkakaintindihan ba tayo? Maliwanag? Yes or no? Yes. Oh, speaking of chart, nurses, who owns the chart? Sandali ah. Wait lang. Dali lang po. Sulitin natin. Again. Nurses, who owns the chart? Who owns the chart? Always remember ito, natandaan nyo. If we're talking about the ownership of the chart nurse, there's the co-ownership. Co-ownership yan ang chart mo. It is nurses co-owned by the patient and the hospital. Depende na lang kung ano yung tinatanong sa'yo sa board. Nagkakaintindihan ba tayo? Maliwanag? Maliwanag? Yes. If we're talking about the document itself, nurse, always remember, the document nurse is owned by the hospital. If we're just talking about the document itself, the patient's chart, the document itself, it is owned by the hospital. Maliwanag po tayo. Maliwanag? Yes, that's the reason why kahit ikaw yung pasyente, if you want to get a copy of your medical record, you have to get that from the hospital. You seek a certified true copy from the hospital because the document itself is owned by the hospital. But if we're talking about the information in the patient's chart, question, who owns the information in the chart? The patient. That's why you cannot divulge any information without the consent of the patient. And that is included in your patient's Bill of Rights. Nagkakaintindihan. So depende sa tinatanong sa board exam. Huwag kang sagot ng sagot. O makinig kayo. Hindi naman nakikinig. Pag kayo nagkamali ha, inuulit ko. If we're just talking about the document itself, who owns the document? The hospital. But if we're talking about the information, who owns the information? The patient. That's why you nurses cannot divulge any information. Nurses without the consent of the patient. O mag-ingat ha, basahin maigi kung anong tinatanong sa board exam. Pag ito tinanong, nagkakaintindihan po tayo. Maliwanag? Yes. So let's now proceed with your nurses. Performance appraisal. Now always remember in performance appraisal, there are also two types of performance appraisal. Dalawa din yan. One is what we call your informal and the other is your formal. Again, so dalawa yan. Informal and formal. Question now is, what is informal? Pag sinabi natin informal nurse, informal is the incidental performance appraisal. Again, informal is the incidental performance appraisal. Pag sinabi natin incidental, nurses, anong keyword mo? Anong keyword mo? Incident. In short here, just because a certain incident happened, you have to evaluate the staff. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag po. Yes. So meaning dito, makinig sa akin lahat. Meaning dito, wala ka talagang balak. Wala ka talagang balak, nurse, to conduct an evaluation. Wala ka talagang balak, nurses, mag-conduct ng evaluation. Pero, dahil may nangyari, they need to conduct an evaluation. Yes or no? Yes. O, very good example. Very good example, nurse. Kunyari, mag-hook ka ng IV. Kunyari, nurse, mag-hook ka ng IV. At nurses, ba't nawala na yung mga kausap ko? Ayan na naman tayo eh. Mag-log out na rin ako. Hindi ko natapusin to. Wala tayong iwanan, hayop ka. Huwag mo kong iwanan, buwisit ka. Lahat na nga lang iniiwan ako, pati ka ba naman, iiwan mo din ako, hayop ka. Walang iwanan. Nagkakaintindihan ba? So ulitin natin ha. Again, nurses. Sa nurses informal performance appraisal, here, wala ka talagang balak mag-evaluate. Pero, dahil may nangyari, you need to conduct an evaluation. Do you agree? Yes or no? Do you agree? Yes. Very good example. Kunyari, mag-hook ka ng IV fluid. Question, may IV fluid po bang babasagin pa rin hanggang ngayon? Yes. Very good example. Mannitol. Very good example, mannitol. Besh, mag-hook ka ngayon ng mannitol. Ang problema, hindi ka masyadong nabiyayaan ng Diyos, ng katangkaran. In short, hindi mo abot ang IV stand. Yung IV stand nyo, yung katulad sa gobyerno, yung hindi na-adjust. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Question, hindi mo abot ang IV stand. Para maabot mo ang IV stand, anong kailangan mong gamitin? Anong upuan? Ano chair? Hayop kayo, inuupuan ng watcher, tutungtungan mong buwisit ka. Sasabunutan ko yung mga bulbul nyo. Ulitin natin, anong gagamitin mo? Footstool. Anong upuan? Nurses, again, anong ginagamit? Footstool. So you use 3 footstools o ganun kakaliit, besh. Kasing liit mo si Mahal. So habang hinuhook mo ngayon yung IV mo, besh, nadulas ka. Nadulas ka. Nabitawan mo ang IV fluid mo. Question, basag kaya? Basag kaya? Yes, sakto naman, Beshi. Pagkabasag ng IV mo, napadaan ang head nurse mo. Nakita ang mga pangyayari. In short, malas ka ba? Yes. So question now is, do you think right there and then you will be evaluated? Yes or no? Yes. And that is what we call informal. Now, what about formal? Sabi natin, formal nurse is systematically done. This is systematically done. And it usually ends in a review session. Now, ano yung ibig sabihin pag sinabi nating systematic? Again, bakit sinasabing systematic? Pag sinabi natin systematic, ibig sabihin, scheduled yan. Ibig sabihin, nurse, scheduled yan. Pag sinabi natin scheduled yan, nurse, ibig sabihin, nurses, again, katulad niyan, ibig sabihin, alam ba ng staff, more or less, kung kailan sila may evaluate? Alam ba ng staff, more or less, kung kailan sila may evaluate? Yes, because there's a schedule for the evaluation. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Sandali ah. Again, nurses, question, alam ba ng staff kung kailan sila mai-evaluate? Yes or no? Yes. Why? Because there's a schedule for the evaluation. Very good example na lang. Very good example. Nurses. Very good example. Yung inyong mga, yung evaluation nyo sa CI nyo. Very good example, yung evaluation nyo sa CI. O question, ang evaluation nyo sa CI nyo, scheduled ba yan? Yes. So alam ba ng CI nyo more or less kung kailan sila mai-evaluate? Yes, because there's a schedule for the evaluation. Kaya nga, di ba, pansinin mo ang CI nyo. Pansinin nyo ang CI nyo. Pag malapit ng evaluation, ang CI, bumabait. Do you agree? Yes or no? Yes. Bakit? Kasi alam nila kung kailan. Nagkakaintindihan. Hindi pa yon. Nung nag-evaluate ka ng CI mo, did you use evaluation sheets? Yes. Did you use performance checklist? Yes, nurses. Again, nurses, ni-rank din ba ang performance ng CI? Yes, they use a ranking device. Yung ranking device, ito yung excellent, outstanding, fair, poor. So they use a ranking device. So therefore, that is a formal performance appraisal. Nagkakaintindihan po tayo. Maliwanag. At sabi ko nga, basta formal yan. It usually ends in a review session. Ano yung review session? Pag sinabi nating review session, i-reveal ang result ng evaluation. Dito, i-reveal ang result ng evaluation. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Kaya nga kung titingnan ninyo, sa evaluation sheet ninyo, di ba nurses sa dulo nun, may nakasulat na comment? Yes or no? May nakasulat na comment, yes. O question, nurses. Nurses, pag nilagay mo doon, ma'am, nurses, nagsulat ka sa comment, ma'am, ang pangit mo na, bansot ka na, baduy ka pa. Question, makakarating ba yun sa CI mo? Yes. Why? Because all of those are being revealed. Utang na loob, nurse. Kinokopya yun ng personal department verbatim. Kung paano mo sinulat verbatim, word for word, kinokopya yun. Kaya pag magsusulat ka ng comment, tas masama ang ilalagay mo, utang na loob, besh. Huwag mo lalagyan ng pangalan mo. Hayop ka. Pag iinitan ka, nagkakaintindihan. Because those are copies, nurses, verbatim. And once nurses na kopya nila yun, lahat yun, i-collate. Lahat ng comment, i-collect yun, i-collate yan. Nurse, pag na-collate na nila yan, binibigay yun sa CI. Including the result of the ranking device. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag ba? Maliwanag. Yes. Now question is, what if ikaw ang evaluator? What if ikaw ang evaluator and you would like nurses to reveal the result of the evaluation? Question, if you are the evaluator, nurses, ano ang uunahin mong i-reveal sa staff mo? Good news or bad news? Again, anong uunahin mong i-reveal sa staff? Good news or bad news? Anong uunahin i-reveal sa staff? Good news or bad news? O sige, makinig. Para sa nagsabing mauunang bad news, o makinig sa akin ha, para sa nagsasabing mauunang bad news, nurses, question, pag sinabi natin bad news, ano to? Positive o negative? Pag sinabi natin bad news, ano to? Positive o negative? Negative. Strengths or weaknesses? Strengths or weaknesses? Weaknesses. In short, uunahin bang i-reveal sa kanila lahat ng katangahan nila? Anong hindi? Buisit ka. Uunahin mo nga bad news eh. Ano sasabihin mo? Uy, may bad news ako. Tumama ka sa loto. Shit, ang sad, no? Sasabunutan ko yung bulbul mo eh. Ulitin natin. Pag sinabi natin nurses, bad news, positive o negative? Negative. Nurses, strengths or weaknesses? Weaknesses. Ulitin natin. Kung uunahin mo ang weaknesses, nurse, anong uunahin mong i-reveal sa staff mo? Nurses, uunahin bang i-reveal sa kanya lahat ng kapalpakan niya? Yes. Unahin bang i-reveal sa kanya lahat ng katangahan niya? Yes. Unahin bang i-reveal sa kanya lahat ng kabobohan niya? Yes. Tanong ko ngayon, pag yan ang inuna mong ni-reveal sa staff mo, nurse, anong ginawa mo sa self-esteem ng staff mo? Tinaas mo o binaba mo? Binaba mo. Anong nangyari sa level of confidence niya? Na-boost o nawala? Nawala. Nagkaroon ba ng tiwala sa sarili? Nawalan ba ng tiwala sa sarili? Yes. So by the time now that you're going to reveal the strengths, do you think she can still concentrate on her good points? Hindi na. Bakit? Wala na siyang tiwala sa sarili. Will there be room for improvement? None. Nagkakaintindihan. But if you're going to start with the good news, ulitin natin, what is good news? Positive or negative? Positive. Strengths, nurses, strengths or weaknesses? Strengths. Kahit nag-iisa lang yan, besh, ang galing mong mag-hook ng IV o bunga, yun lang ang ginawa niyang tama. O question, anong ginawa mo sa self-esteem ng staff mo? Tinaas mo, binaba mo? Tinaas. Ano nangyari sa level of confidence? Na-boost o nawala? Na-boost. Nagkaroon ba ng tiwala sa sarili? Yes. So by the time now that you're going to reveal the weaknesses, mas madali niya na bang matanggap yung pagkakamali niya? Yes, kasi meron ng tiwala sa sarili. Will there be room for improvement? Yes or no? Yes. So anong uunahin mo? Strengths or weaknesses? Strengths. Good news or bad news? Good news. But question, do you need to reveal both? Yes, that's why the third step, nurse, is for you to identify. Third step is for you to identify strengths and weaknesses. Again, nurses. Nurses, so third step is for you to identify strengths and weaknesses. Question, are you going to concentrate on the strength? Are you going to concentrate on the strength? No. Are you going to concentrate on the weaknesses? No. Do you need to concentrate on both? Yes. So therefore, in the actual board exam, pag isa lang ang lumabas, tama o mali? Mali. It should always be both. Maraming nadadali dyan ha. For example, lumabas sa board exam. Evaluation. You're doing evaluation so that you can identify the nurses, the abilities of the staff. Question, what are abilities? Strengths or weaknesses? What are abilities? Strengths or weaknesses? Strengths. Question, tama o mali? Tama o mali? Mali. Kasi inuulit ko, it should always be both. Nagkakaintindihan. Lumabas lang sa board exam. You're doing evaluation so that you can identify the corrective behaviors of the staff. What are corrective behaviors? Strengths or weakness? Weakness. O question, tama o mali? Mali. So nurses, again, it should always be both. Inuulit ko, maraming nadadali dyan. Inuulit ko, pag isa lang ang lumabas, tama o mali? Mali. It should always be both. Because that is the essence of doing evaluation. Now, ano ngayon ang gusto kong tandaan? Makinig. This is now also the same when it comes to delegation. Why? O makinig. Because always remember, nurse, delegation and evaluation complements each other. They complement each other, nurse. Nagkakaintindihan, meaning you're doing delegation so that you can evaluate. And you're doing evaluation so that you can delegate. Kaya, pagdating sa delegation, pag isa lang din ang dinelegate, tama o mali? Mali. They need to delegate both. Yes. Attorney, weakness, i-delegate? Yes. Because if you're not going to delegate the weaknesses of your staff, you will never improve the skill of the nurse. Kaya ka nga, nurses, may technical aspect. Kaya ka may show, teach, demonstrate, supervise, do, or perform it with the nurse because you can delegate the weaknesses. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag. Maliwanag. So, nurses, are you going to delegate the strength? Yes. Anong no? Are you going to delegate the strength? No, sasabunutan ko talaga itong mga to. Are you going to delegate the strength? Yes. Are nurses, do you need also to delegate the weaknesses? Yes. Pag isa lang ang dinelegate, tama o mali? Mali. It should always be both. Nagkakaintindihan tayo dyan, ha? Now, the last step now, nurse, is for you nurses to act, to reinforce the strengths, and take corrective actions for the weaknesses. Pag sinabi natin act to reinforce the strengths, meaning, are you going to support whatever strength your staff may have? Are you going to support whatever strength your staff may have? Yes, but my question is, do you need nurses? Do you need nurses to nurses correct the weaknesses? Yes or no? Yes. Ito ngayon ang isa pang tinatanong sa board. Another question being asked in the board is, how are you going to correct the weaknesses of the staff? For example, evaluation. So you conducted nurses a performance appraisal. But during the performance appraisal, you discovered that one of your staff has no experience in doing a procedure. So during performance appraisal, you discovered that one of your staff has no experience in doing a procedure. Question now is, what are you going to do to correct that weakness? Question, will you go back again, nurse, to the two aspects of directing? Yes or no? Yes. At ulitin ko, sagot na ba meron ka? Yes. Mag-iisip pa ba? No. Hahanapin na lang ba? Yes. So therefore, your staff has no experience in doing a procedure. Question, saan ka dito magpo-fall? Technical, interpersonal? Technical. At ulitin natin, basta technical ang problema. Ano nga mga sagot sa board exam? Show, teach, demonstrate, supervise, do, or perform it with the nurse. Iba naman. Evaluation pa rin, nurse. But this time, nurse, you evaluated the unit. But during the evaluation of the unit, you discovered now that most of your staff are already experiencing staff burnout. Question now is, what are you going to do to correct that weakness? Saan ka ngayon magpo-fall? Technical, interpersonal? Interpersonal. Attitude and behavior ba yan? Yes or no? Yes. At ulitin natin, basta attitude and behavior ang problema. Ano lang ang sagot sa board exam? Verbalization. In short, ang two aspects mo mga beshi, gamit na gamit mo ba? Yes or no? Yes. Not just in delegation, not just in problem solving, but also in evaluation, in correcting the weaknesses. At ulitin natin, sagot na bang meron ka? Yes. Mag-iisip ka ba? No. Hahanapin na lang ba? Yes. Nakita nyo na yung connection? Do you see the nurse's connection of your concepts? Yes. Utang na loob ba? wag na wag mo nang kakalimutan. Nagkakaintindihan ba tayo? Maliwanag. Energy. Maliwanag. Yes. So ulitin natin. If we're talking about nurses, the four nurses, basta sinabi natin controlling. Ano nga ulit ang kapangyarihan? Basta controlling, ano nga ulit ang kapangyarihan? Oy! Ano na nangyayari sa inyo? Nurses, basta controlling. Sagot yan, buwisit ka. Ito yung kapangyarihan mo. For basic steps, kung ano-ano mga iniimbento mo. Sasabunutan ko yung bulbul mo, binabago mo yung lecture ko. Ulitin natin. Again, nurses, basta controlling. Ano ang kapangyarihan? 4 basic steps. What is the first step? Develop standards and criteria. Ulitin natin, nag-i-evaluate na ba? No. Are you creating the basis? Yes. What is the basis? Standards and criteria. Kaya sa board exam, anong sagot? Standards. And what are the 3 types of standards? Anong namunit? SPO. What is SPO? Structure, process, and outcome. After doing evaluation, the next step is for you to determine compliance. Again, is this already evaluation? Yes. 2 types of evaluation in the unit. 2 types of evaluation in the unit, nursing audit and performance appraisal. Again, nurses, sinong patient focus? Nursing audit. Sinong staff focus? Performance appraisal. After doing evaluation, the next step is for you to identify strengths and weaknesses. Ulitin natin. Are you going to concentrate on the strength? No. Are you going to concentrate on the weaknesses? No. Are you going to concentrate on both? Yes. So nurses, pag isa lang ang lumabas, tama o mali? Mali. Is that the same in delegation? Yes. And what is now the last step? The last step is for you to act to reinforce the strengths and take corrective actions for the weaknesses. And in correcting the weaknesses, ulitin natin. Will you go back to the 2 aspects? Yes or no? Yes. At ulitin natin, sagot na ba yan? Yes. Pag sinabi kong sagot, mag-iisip pa ba? No. Hahanapin na lang ba? Yes. So therefore, kung ano ba sa board exam, nursing audit. Again, is nursing audit evaluation? Yes. So anong sagot sa board exam? Standards. Ano ba performance appraisal? Ano ang sagot? Standards. You're reviewing the chart. Anong sagot? Standards. You're trying to determine whether they perform the procedure. Anong sagot? Standards. You're trying to compare the actual nursing care done. Anong sagot? Standards. Nagkakaintindihan ba tayo? Maliwanag? Yes. Now, sabi natin, controlling nurse is said to be the last function of management. Question, if controlling is the last function, my question now is, once you've reached controlling, are you done with management? Question, once you've reached controlling, are you done with management? Yes or no? No. Anong gusto kong tandaan? Always remember, nurse, that your functions of management, planning, organizing, directing, controlling, all of them are an ongoing process of management. Pag sinabi natin ongoing process, ibig sabihin, nurses, pwede bang habang nag-i-evaluate ako, nag-update ako ng plan ko? Yes. Habang nag-update ako ng plan ko, nag-nurses, nagde-delegate ako. Yes. Habang nagde-delegate ako, nag-organize ako. Yes. Habang nag-organize ako, nag-i-evaluate ako. Yes. And so on and so forth. So it is an ongoing process. But if we're just talking about the functions of management, controlling is the last function. And that also ends your leadership and management. Nagkakaintindihan na ba? Maliwanag. Any question? Maliwanag tayo? O, hawak ng kapangyarihan ha. Utang na loob. Wag nang bibitawan. Naalala ba ang mga sagot? Yes. Wag nang kakalimutan. Nagkakaintindihan. Question. Kayang-kaya mo na bang LM pagdating ng board exam? Yes or no? Yes. Basta hawak lang ang kapangyarihan. So nurses, tomorrow, we're going to start with a new topic. And that is your research. But tomorrow, di ba una kong sabi sa inyo, hanggang 6 tayo. Unfortunately, nurses, I do not have my big luggage here with me. I will be, nurses, out of town kasi for the lecture, I think for almost 20 days. So yung mga luggage ko dito, hindi kasya. Yung mga damit ko, I have to get it pa from my sister-in-law. So tomorrow, hanggang 5 lang din tayo. Okay? And then, I will be in nurses doing another set of lecture, most probably by Saturday. Inaayos lang yung schedule nyo. Kung kailan ako magko-continuation. Nagkakaintindihan ba? Maliwanag. Kasi panigurado bukas baka may maiwan ako. So I will nurses continue that. Nagkakaintindihan po tayo. Maliwanag. Kasi kailangan ko po mag-impake bukas ng gabi. Nurses, kasi alis ako kinabukasan. Maliwanag po. Maliwanag? Any question? Maliwanag po tayo hanggang dito. Sige, kung walang tanong, para makapagpahinga pa rin kayo kasi you still have class at 5, I still have class at 5 o'clock. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much, guys. Sige, see you tomorrow. Goodbye.